Hey everyone, welcome to this $1,400 stimulus check update, third stimulus package update today, which is Valentine's Day. In today's video, I'm going to be covering, just real briefly, a quick timeline update in terms of expected dates that this stimulus package could actually be passed and how long it would actually take to get direct deposits, paper checks, and the debit cards out to the American people. I also want to briefly touch on the $3,600 child tax credit, the expanded tax credit program that they are writing into this stimulus package, because I've seen some conflicting information about what that's actually going to include, how much it is, when it would be paid out, and so forth. So I'm going to be going over some of that. Also, a quick update about the EIDL grant program, and I'm also going to be responding to Dave Ramsey. So stick around for that. Hey everyone, my name is Randy. Welcome back to the Late Night Grind. This is a new YouTube channel that I started, and right now I am covering these stimulus package updates because it's of great interest to me. So if you want to go ahead, follow along with me. I put out these videos frequently. If you want to follow along with all the developments that happen on a daily basis, go ahead, click that subscribe button, and don't forget to tap that bell notification icon. That way you'll actually be notified when I release a new video. And don't forget, since this is still a relatively new YouTube channel, only a couple of months old, best thing you can do to help out is smash that thumbs up button. It really helps out with that YouTube algorithm. I greatly appreciate it. All right, well, let's get into it. Okay, so earlier this morning, I had put out a video going over the timeline of when we could expect to see the $1,400 stimulus checks go out. They've officially been drafted into the bill that is going to be voted on by the House of Representatives. It is $1,400 per adult, per child dependent, as well as adult dependent. Keep in mind that's important because adult dependents were left out of the last two stimulus rounds. They will now be included in this one. At first, there was some talk of whether adult dependents would actually get retroactive stimulus, meaning that they would actually get $600 from the last round and even $1,200 from last year's round, but as of right now, that is not included. And just real quick to go along with that, SSI and SSDI recipients are eligible for the $1,400 stimulus checks in this round and for pretty much everybody. The only way you are not eligible to receive it is if you make too much money. So for a couple of weeks, Congress was going back and forth as to how to best target these stimulus checks. Right now, it looks like the $75,000 per single and $150,000 per couple are the cap limits as to who would receive the stimulus checks. After that, you could still receive money. It would just be a lower amount. The stimulus money would get phased out as your earnings increase over that $75,000 or $150,000 number. The timeline, my best guess without going into too much detail on the timeline, is that the House of Representatives is likely going to pass this on the 22nd, possibly the 23rd at the latest. Nancy Pelosi has said she is fast-tracking this and she desperately wants to get this passed before March 15th. That's when the other unemployment benefit boost actually lapses, so she wants to get that in ahead of time, and most Congress does as well. So after the House passes it, it will go to the Senate. That's where it could be passed right away and sent to Joe Biden's desk, or they may have some arguments and some things that need taken out because there are a few Democrats that are not going to vote for the $15 an hour minimum wage that is in there, and they need every single Democrat to vote for it in order for it to pass. If not, they would need to redo an amendment and then take a revote. It could take as much as a week or two possibly to do that. They would then take a revote, hopefully pass it, and get it to Joe Biden's desk for signature. After that, you're likely looking at a 3 to 5 day waiting period before the IRS would start sending out direct payments in the form of direct deposits, would obviously get to people the fastest. Tens of millions of people got these payments within 3 days of when Donald Trump signed the last one. So we could be looking at a similar time frame. Paper checks and the debit cards that went out, typically they took several weeks, 3, 4, 5, even 6 weeks later to go out. But at this point, we're now close to 6 weeks removed from the last stimulus. And I believe I read something like 97% of all eligible people got their $600 stimulus. And if you haven't, you're going to need to claim it on your next tax return. All right, so as for the child tax credit expansion, there's some conflicting information that's kind of been going around that I've been seeing articles about, other videos about, and I wanted to kind of clear things up as to what's actually written in the stimulus bill as it stands right now. The Ways and Means Committee, which is a budgeting committee in charge of basically writing all of the details of the child tax credit program into the stimulus bill, what they wrote and what they included in this bill is a child tax credit expansion from $2,000 up to $3,000 if the child is 17 or under, and up to $3,600 if the child is age 6 and under. What their proposal would be taking half of that, so for the $3,600 amount, taking half of that, which would be $1,800, and paying that $1,800 out over the course of a 6-month period from this July until this coming December. The other half would then be claimed on your next tax return as a tax credit. I've seen some other articles and some other reports that they were going to pay out the other half of that lump sum actually in July before paying out the rest in monthly installments. But as it is written in the actual bill, it's not. It's actually starting with the 6 monthly payments, and then the rest, the other half, would be claimed on your tax return. In any case, that is a huge boost to families with children and multiple children and dependents. Now, the one detail that I couldn't find is right now it looks like that is going to be written in for 1 year, although some Democrats are now talking about pushing to try to make that a permanent thing. There's a lot of kind of secondary information that they're talking about in terms of giving children basically money as soon as they're born into an account of $1,000, providing some monthly checks up to a certain age. All that stuff is being talked about. You may have seen headlines or articles about it, but none of that is actually written into this stimulus bill specifically. From what I've been reading in the comments, there are definitely a lot of people that are thrilled with getting the monthly payments for their children, for the dependents, in order to help take care of them. In fact, it was actually written because they saw that it would raise as many as 3 million children out of poverty level living. But I've seen a lot in the comments of what I'm guessing are single people without kids, or possibly with grown kids, that basically you feel kind of screwed in a way because the families or the people with children are going to get all the money. And I get it, but at the same time, you know, a single person making $40,000 or $50,000, they live in a different lifestyle than, say, a family of 4 or 5 making $50,000 or $60,000, because children are not cheap. And just a real quick update on the EIDL grant program. Starting February 1st, the program was actually opened up to receive applications. So if you are a small business, if you are a gig worker, you're self-employed, it is not going to hurt to apply for this. Now, you may not get a grant, or you may get only maybe $1,000, but at this point, it's grant money. It's not loan money. You will not need to repay it. Basically, the one stipulation is that if your side hustle, if your small business took a hit of more than 30%, or your income dropped more than 30% from March 3rd, 2020 compared to the previous year, you would be eligible for a grant. Now, those grants go anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000. So if you haven't already applied, you can go to the SBA.gov website and apply there. And finally, I wanted to respond to Dave Ramsey. He was actually recently quoted as saying, because it seems like he's kind of against these stimulus checks, or at least the direct payment parts of it. And I can kind of see why. He's very conservative, preaches financial literacy, which are all great things. But his comment was that if you need $600 or $1,400 that desperately, you're already screwed. And I get where he's coming from, because $600 or $1,400, it's really only going to pay for maybe a few weeks worth of bills, honestly. But that doesn't tell the whole story. For example, if you're a family, say a family of 2 parents, and you have 2 kids or 3 children, and you have a job and you're making, say, $60,000, $65,000 a year, but COVID came and you got laid off, or your hours got cut drastically, or one of the parents got laid off and the other parent lost some hours. Just the fact that 82% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck should tell you that that situation is not good, because they're automatically going to be extremely tight, and unemployment does not pay that much. So in that situation, a family of 4 for $1,400 stimulus checks would be $5,600 in stimulus money, plus an additional $3,600 in monthly payments from July to December in the child tax credit advances, which that alone plus some unemployment could pay for 2 or 3 months worth of bills, or if you're in that situation, oxygen. And during that time, you can look for other jobs. You can build up a side business. You can work multiple side businesses, do your job interviews, or possibly get those hours put back that your employer previously cut you from. So there's a lot of different things that can do. Ultimately, it buys time. Yes, it's not a career choice to collect stimulus checks, but what it does is temporarily give you oxygen and let you sleep at night to figure out what you're going to do, rather than just being stuck in a desperate situation. So that's my response to Dave Ramsey. That's all. Otherwise, I completely agree with a lot of his assessments. His conservative nature, financial literacy, investment advice, all of that stuff is really spot on. I just wanted to respond to that particular comment. In any case, guys, I appreciate you watching this video. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next video.